"Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom," said the little girl to the CEO alone on Christmas Eve. The Christmas lights flickered softly in the quiet streets of Willowbrook, but inside the grand office of Clayton Enterprises, the glow of wealth felt cold and hollow. Ethan Clayton, the CEO, sat alone in his expansive corner office, the city glittering below him like a promise he no longer believed in. The hum of the city's festivities barely reached him. Papers scattered across his mahogany desk seemed to mock him contracts, numbers, deals, but none of it mattered tonight. Tonight he had no one. Ethan pressed his forehead against the cold glass of his office window, staring out at families walking hand in hand, the laughter of children echoing faintly from the streets below. He tried to drown the ache in champagne, the golden liquid offering only a temporary numbness. A part of him, the part that used to believe in magic and hope, had long been buried under boardroom negotiations and endless responsibilities. That's when a faint sound reached him, a small persistent knock on the office door. He didn't bother looking up. "Mr. Clayton, sir, are you there?" a tiny voice squeaked. Ethan's first instinct was irritation. Who could possibly need him now? It was Christmas Eve. Everyone important to him had their plans, except him. Reluctantly, he turned his chair and saw a little girl standing there, barely 4 years old, holding a small, tattered teddy bear. Her big blue eyes shone with a mixture of hope and worry, and she clutched her mother's hand tightly. "Hi," she whispered, her voice trembling slightly. "I'm Lily." Ethan blinked, momentarily disarmed. A child in a corporate office at this hour was highly unusual. "Lily, what are you doing here?" he asked, his voice softer than he intended. "My mom works downstairs at the bakery," Lily said, pointing toward the street. "I was helping her, but she said I could come up and see the big Christmas tree here, like in the movies. And she hesitated, fidgeting with the hem of her coat. And you look sad." Ethan swallowed hard. He had spent decades mastering the art of looking in control, untouchable. But here was a tiny girl who could see right through him. "I'm not sad," he said, trying to sound convincing, "just busy." Lily tilted her head, unconvinced. "You look like the man in the window outside the bakery," she said, "the one crying by himself." The words hit him like a jolt of electricity. He hadn't realized anyone could see through the walls he had built around his heart, and now a little girl was standing in front of him, calling out the loneliness he tried so hard to hide. "I'm fine," he muttered, though his throat felt tight. "You're not," Lily said simply. "You don't have anyone, not like everyone else. But it's okay. I can help." Ethan raised an eyebrow. "Help?" "Yeah," she said, smiling shyly. "My mom is really nice. She makes the best cookies. You can borrow her tonight. You won't be alone anymore." For a moment, Ethan stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or cry. The innocence in her suggestion was almost unbearable. Borrow her mom? It sounded absurd, yet in that absurdity was something tender and profound, a bridge across the chasm of his loneliness. I don't think that's possible," he said, though his voice lacked conviction. Lily's eyes sparkled with determination. "Yes, it is. You can come downstairs. Mom will know what to do. She always knows." Against every instinct that told him to remain distant, Ethan found himself following her. They walked down the grand staircase, Lily skipping ahead like a tiny guardian of Christmas magic. When they reached the street, the smell of fresh bread and sugar from Lily's mother's bakery enveloped him, wrapping around him like a warm, unexpected hug. "Mom," Lily called, running to a woman in her 30s with warm brown eyes and flour-dusted hands. "This is him, the man who's sad." Ethan froze. The woman looked at him curiously, then smiled gently. "Hello there," she said softly. Claire. And you are?" Ethan Clayton," he muttered, suddenly aware of his own awkwardness. The woman didn't flinch at the name or his reputation. She only studied him with kind eyes. "You look like you could use a little Christmas magic," Claire said, kneeling to Lily's level. "Would you like to help me bake some cookies tonight?" Ethan's gaze dropped to the little hands holding hers, and he felt something he hadn't felt in years' hope, and so began an evening that neither of them would forget. In the warm, fragrant kitchen, Ethan kneaded dough beside Claire while Lily danced around the table, sprinkling sugar like tiny stars. For the first time in decades, Ethan wasn't thinking about deadlines, profits, or deals. He was present. He laughed at Lily's clumsy attempts to shape the cookies, marveled at Claire's gentle guidance, and even admitted that he didn't remember the last time he had felt this alive. When the cookies came out of the oven, golden and perfect, Lily placed a small plate in front of him. "See? You have Mom now," she said proudly. "She's yours for tonight. You won't cry alone anymore." Ethan blinked back tears, the lump in his throat refusing to disappear. I don't know what to say," he whispered. "You don't have to say anything," Claire said. "Just be here. That's enough." The three of them sat together, eating cookies, sipping hot chocolate, and sharing stories. Ethan learned that Claire had been a single mother for years, raising Lily with tireless love and devotion. He shared little about himself, only enough to feel seen without pretension. Lily chattered on about school, snowmen, and her favorite Christmas songs, her joy so pure it was contagious. Hours passed, and Ethan realized he had spent the evening not just in company, but in connection. The loneliness that had gnawed at him for years seemed to recede, replaced by a gentle warmth he hadn't believed possible. "Thank you," he said finally, as he helped clear the kitchen. "Both of you. For letting me borrow your mom." Claire smiled, brushing a strand of hair from Lily's forehead. "You don't need to borrow her, Ethan. You just needed to be reminded that people care. You are never truly alone if you let someone in." Lily leaned against him, sleepy now, her small hand holding his. Don't cry anymore, okay? Mom's here, and he'll be here too." Ethan felt tears roll down his cheeks, unchecked and freeing. For the first time in years he didn't hide them. The office, the city lights, the world of power and prestige had all faded away. In that tiny bakery, with a little girl and her mother, Ethan rediscovered something priceless, the simple, unguarded joy of human connection. That Christmas Eve, Ethan Clayton didn't just celebrate with cookies and cocoa. He celebrated hope, kindness, and the unexpected miracle of a child's heart. He realized that even in the coldest, loneliest moments, warmth could be found in the smallest gestures. A smile, a hand to hold, a simple act of generosity. These were treasures no wealth could buy. And as he walked back to his office that night, leaving Lily and Claire behind, Ethan knew he would never be the same. He had learned that sometimes the heart's deepest needs are not for money or power, but for love, compassion, and the courage to accept it. "Don't cry, mister." "You can borrow my mom," Lilith's words echoed in his mind, and for the first time in years, Ethan smiled genuinely, carrying that light into every corner of his life, promising himself that he would never forget the lesson of one little girl and her extraordinary gift of love.